Welcome, everyone, to the November 17th edition of Signals from Mars. If you're watching the intro, tonight's episode will be a recap of 2023 or 2023 concerts, festivals, and all that great stuff. We've been wanting to do this since the summer. Was hoping that the planets would align for everyone to join us, but we got a bunch of people. And let me start introducing them. In California, we have Metal Dan.
Hola, hello.
In Idaho, we have Brad Dahl, Mr. Yarg Metal himself.
Hey, cheers from Idaho.
In Sweden, we have Johan. How are you, Johan?
Thank you. I'm very good. Hey, allihopa.
And joining us from New Jersey, we have Mike Jones. How are you, Mike?
Yeah, I'm doing great.
Awesome. So we're here to talk some live music, folks. We're here to talk about shows, festivals, different things that we've gotten to see this year. And Jeremy, who ended up not being able to join us, sent me a few things that I will be reading throughout the episode, at least if I remember to do so. But yeah, so let's kick things off here. Since we've got Johan in the top left there. Johan, I know at least you were at Sweden Rock this year. How did Sweden Rock compare to other years that you've been to the festival?
Oh, it was a good year. A very good year, to be honest. Had some, surprises, and Sweden Rock is a festival that perhaps has a lot of old bands, and so they have not the focus on the new bands, but I saw some really good bands there this year. I have to not with a band that's included in the competition, if you say so, but a Swedish band called Enforcer. I saw them on the first night on the smaller stage. Classic European melodic speed metal, if you will. So if you're listening, and please check out Enforcer, the big surprise for Wednesday night. Thank you.
Hey, Johan, Enforcer, I just got their live album, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Are they kind of a new band, or have they been around for a while?
I think they've been around for at least 10 years.
Okay. First time you've seen them,
though? I think so, but I've heard them before, and they were a name here a couple of years, so they're not completely new, but the first time I saw them on a bigger stage and they performed like a professional band. Yeah.
Let's see. So they've been together since they've been around for almost 20 years, Brad. So yes, relatively new band.
So I am late to the Enforcer party, but hey, at least I showed up. Okay.
There you go. Doesn't matter when you jumped on the train, so long as you jumped on that train. So for you, Brad, I give you a little Ace Frehley.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, Brad. How about you? You've been around a few places. You've seen a few different shows this year, as well as been part of. Have you been part of any shows this year, or just you're getting warmed up for Christmas?
I'm getting warmed up for I'll be part of a show here December 16th in Salt Lake City at the Commonwealth Room. If you wanted to come, it's a cool venue. Yeah, I saw Sons of Apollo playing there. So, Yeah. Let's. I really didn't go to a lot of shows this year. I've been doing a lot of traveling, but I did see some. And one, let's see, the first show I saw was in March. It was Riverside. I'd never seen these guys before. They're a Polish band. I don't know if you guys are familiar with them. They're kind of in the vein of Porcupine Tree. Their albums, albums are good. And I thought, well, I'm going to go see them anyway. I mean, they came all the way from Poland to Utah. The least I can do is go see them. It was a very small venue, kind of a cool place. And they were fantastic. I mean, like really, really good. The bass player is the singer of the band, and for me, because it's all about the bass. He was incredibly good. He had a great, great live sound, great tone, and the songs are, in my opinion, built around the bass. I mean, so you got to have the bass, but he was able to sing while playing very well, kind of like some other great singing bass players. But it was a fun show. I mean, for music that's more instrumental with a little bit of vocal in it, kind of on the prog kind of screen. They really connected well with the audience. The audience was very enthusiastic. It sounded great, and I just had a blast. So if you ever get a chance to see these guys, their tour is over now for their last album, which their last album is really good. But if you ever get a chance to see them, I would do it, and I'm certainly going to do whatever I can to see them next time they come to the U.S.
Where did you hear about this band for the first time, Brad?
Wow, that's a great question, Victor. I didn't even feed that to you. Actually, how I found out about these guys, okay, the director of the Maryland Poison Control Center, Bruce Anderson, he's kind of a nerdy guy.
Okay.
And we went out to lunch with him one day. This is when we were in actually Charleston, South Carolina. We're at a meeting, and he's like, hey, you want to join us for lunch? And we're kind of hanging out. And I just saw the blue. He goes, hey, what kind of music you guys listening to? And it's like, when you're hanging out with Poison people, you just don't usually get in a music discussion. So I found out he was just into a lot of music, really cool stuff. And I'm like, wow, Bruce, this is, you got to hit me to some of this stuff. So he sent me 2 CDs that were just loaded of all these bands that he was really into. And one of them was Riverside. And so that's how I got into him, was listening to it from there. So Bruce, if you're out there, thanks again.
All right. So that kind of didn't go the way that I thought it was going to go. So
really?
For those of you, what I was trying to, the softball I was trying to pitch to Brad, which got fouled off, is that I actually featured Riverside on Patreon. So I thought the answer was going in that direction, which is why I brought it up. But hey, your answer was probably cooler.
I'll tell you what, Victor, I could go on for hours talking about the music you've turned me on to through being a patron on Patreon here with Signals from Mars, because we get new music every day. In fact, there was one just the other day. I'm like, I got to check these guys out. I can't remember their name now, but
they were that memorable.
Well, I don't remember names very well. Okay. But I do have to say that, Victor, if you listen to Yard Metal, okay, for even a half an hour, I bet you're going to hear one song that is on there because I heard about it from Signals from Mars.
I'll take it. Awesome. Yeah. Metal Dan. No cruises this year, correct?
No cruises. No, I didn't do it. I went to somewhere else. I needed to do a break from it. I think I do the Monsters of Rock cruise. I've done it. I think it's 4 out of their 13 or whatever. Okay. I'm sort of a veteran, but it is costly. It is a lot of travel and stuff. And we can talk more about festivals and what other people have experienced. I'd love to. But for me, first off, I did something interesting. They call it the Gates of Metal Festival. This was in its 3rd year. It's in Orange County, California, which is kind of near Disneyland. Mm-hmm. And I happened upon it because Hail Mary was playing, and Hail Mary consists of the 3 guys that matter the most of Leatherwolf, with Jeff being the singer, or not. I mean, Jeff on guitar, Michael on singer. Michael Oliveri's voice is amazing, and he still has it. He doesn't have added background, so they said that they were going to do mostly a Leatherwolf set, and they came through. And I grew up listening to Leatherwolf from '86 on, and my wife is a huge fan. When I mentioned, hey, there's this festival thing going on, bunch of bands, but your band's playing. And she's like, we're going then. So cool. So it was it's this little I don't know, 200, 500 seater. 500 is probably too many. This outside place. It's a small little arena thing that's, I don't know how to describe it. It's in Garden Grove. And what I kept hearing back from feedback from the bands playing and from people, and people kept saying this reminded them of a European festival. I guess because the attitudes were all great. The cost, the expenses of the drinks and all that weren't too expensive. The weather was perfect. And there was an outdoor stage and an indoor stage. And once one band stopped, the other band started inside. So you didn't have to cross over. So you'd see the people leave. But we just sat there enjoying the weather and stayed in there outside and just chilled and relaxed. But the day that I went on the Saturday, Riot headlined, and Vicious Rumors also played as well too.
Cool.
Wow. Riot, what do they call them? Riot V now?
Yeah, Riot 5 or whatever.
Yeah.
I've seen earlier incarnations of Riot, so yeah, I'm not familiar enough, but his voice is very high pitched. I wasn't into Riot like I thought I would be, but there were other bands like Anger is Art and Saber, and then it was a Saturday and Sunday festival. Sunday had Heathen playing, which I had just seen not too long ago. It was a really cool thing, and they're going to do it next year in the same time around September. And now I'm totally in. I don't know who's playing yet, but I'm going because the atmosphere was so good and it had a European vibe. And I picked up that it felt different. I felt really good being there. I don't know what it was. It was amazing.
To get the perfect European vibe, what they need to do is have, for example, and I've witnessed this in person, I've witnessed Journey followed by Hatebreed. So you need to have those types of transitions from radio friendly powerhouse to underground hardcore legend. You know?
They didn't have it that varied, but while the theme is Gates of Metal, the metal music did change and was all listenable. So you could have something that was very hard, but the PA was so good for everybody. There was no slam down to another band to say you're not going to get you're going to get a shittier sound. Everything was crisp and clear, and some were Dio like Vicious Rumors or whatever. Some were harder than others. So it did have that. So maybe that's what they said by European Festival. But damn, what a good day that was. I would like to bottle that day and do it again. It was so good.
Awesome. Mike Jones, thank you for joining us tonight. This is an extra special occasion whenever Mike joins us. And
Yes,
Mike,
it's been a while.
yeah, Mike is someone who's goes to shows quite frequently.
Yeah, it was a bit of a slower year for me this year. Only got to 8, but I feel like I'm kind of in the post-COVID wind-up phase still.
Yeah.
Hoping next year the acceleration continues. But like highlights for this year, Winery Dogs at the Starland Ballroom was absolutely awesome. I love seeing musicianship at that level in a smaller spot, where you can see every single, guitar pick and, just really feel it and experience it there. It was a great show. They had a local band open for them that I'd never heard of that was fairly decent too. And, so I love that they go out on tour and, let the local apps open, the local shows and give them some exposure. So that was pretty cool. Also had the pleasure of seeing Ricky Rackman do his spoken word.
Right.
He went out and told very intimate stories about his days at the Cat House and Headbangers Ball and hosting that. absolutely amazing. Got to sing, taking it to the streets from the Doobie Brothers with him as he walked on stage. He came up and stuck the microphone in my face, and I was like, "What is this?" Came from behind, completely surprised me. So that was a pretty awesome experience too. Great guy, great storyteller. It was amazing. He had it set up to look like the basement of his house. It was just,
Cool.
very cool. A couple hundred people there, just everybody listening to every word. Those were some of the.
Okay. You mentioned Starland. You're fairly close to the Pennsylvania border as well. So what are
Yeah.
the usual spots where you go to see shows? Is Starland the closest to you, or there's stuff like in New Hope or stuff in Bucks County and PA, which are close?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of smaller places like up in Bucks County that host shows, some bars and things that do kind of regional bands. There's a place called Arlo's in Frenchtown. Was actually supposed to see Udo there a couple weeks ago, but that got postponed until next year. So that was a little disappointing. Was really looking forward to that. Seeing Udo in a super small venue like that would have been super cool. And Starland is reasonably close. It's like a 35-40 minute drive for me, so it's not too bad.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of blessed to be kind of halfway between New York City and Philadelphia.
Right.
So I can pick and choose. If someone's coming through on tour and they go into New York on a Thursday, but Saturday night in Philadelphia, like, hey, I'll go to the Saturday night show and not have to worry about getting up the next morning. So it's great. And actually, recently, about a month ago, started a new job. I'm back in Manhattan a few days a week. And when I was working in the city full time, I would take absolute advantage of every show that was there and just pack my concert clothes to work and head over there and then head home afterwards. So that'll definitely be on the agenda going forward.
That's awesome. And that's funny to hear you discuss that, because I mean, you're talking about seeing Udo in a very small, on a very small stage, but yet you're going to be in one of the biggest cities in the world where you've got all types of bands coming in and playing. And let's be honest, most of the venues in New York, there's some that are big.
Yeah.
I mean, not everyone plays the Garden, but you've got the Beacon Theater and you've got stuff like that. That's pretty decent in size.
Yeah,
But then you've got a lot of smaller clubs as well that, other bands play. And with the Starland, for example, the Starland is something where bands play because of cost, because a lot of bands don't want to play in New York City just for different reasons. So it's
get some great shows there.
Yeah, there's union fees. There's all types of things that the venues have to pay for. So, or that the bands have to pay for. So they end up just playing in Jersey instead. And I mean, like, as you're saying, Starland isn't that far from you, and it's kind of in the middle as well. I mean, Staten Island isn't that far from Starland. Philly is what, like an hour and something away. New York is about an hour away, maybe less, so it's actually in a pretty strategic spot there for a lot of bands to play it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, they've got, no worries about noise ordinances or anything. They're kind of in the middle of an industrial area. So it's nice. They can go wild out there, go to all hours and not have to worry about having to shut down.
Yeah. And that's kind of the biggest issue that I have here, outside of the fact that, I'm not really in a country that's huge on rock-based music, but the closest city or big town to me is the farthest from that possible. So you go to a show and you almost spend more time seeing the bouncers telling people to keep the sound in, or to close the doors so that the cops don't show up. And we've actually got other places where, I mean, I was scheduled to play a show, and where the show was canceled because they stopped because of sound ordinances, they stopped giving out permits to do shows in that specific place. So, yeah, I mean, that's the Starland is kind of the perfect storm there for shows. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. And, Philly has its share of cool little backroom bars that host shows. I got to see Jared James Nichols at a place called Ortlieb's. It was, I walked into it and it's this narrow little bar, and I'm like, where is the concert? And there's a black door kind of at the end of the bar, and you open it up, and it's like, being in your friend's mom's basement. It's just this
wow.
tiny little room. There was probably 50 people there, and just seeing him absolutely shred on the guitar was amazing. The guy is killer.
He didn't bleed on anyone, did he?
He probably did. Yeah, he was wandering through the audience, playing with no pick. I don't know how or why you would do that, but yeah, he was absolutely just tearing that thing up. And he plays some incredibly beautiful guitars too. He had I think he had just picked up. It was like a 58 Strat that like all original finish gold that I think he bought like 2 days before, and he said he was going to bring it out for that show, and that was the first show he played it at, and the sound was tremendous.
Cool. John Ross in the chat, thank you for joining us. Can I watch live? We are live, sir. 100%. There will be other people that will watch this on replay, but we are 100% live. So real quickly, let me read one of Jeremy's notes here. He says, saw Rival Sons, great live band, a really nice mix of old and new songs. Now they have so much material. Nothing fancy, not much stage show, just a great rock band. It was at Manchester Academy and was sold out. First song, Manifest Destiny Part 1, was dreary. Should have played a faster number. New track Mosaic, also not very exciting, but rest of the show, excellent. Jay Buchanan and Scott Holiday are real stars, and someone who doesn't notice drummers. Mike Miley was great too. So cool. I'll be quote unquote checking in with Jeremy a little later and reading one of his other notes as we go along. Do you guys find that where you see bands and for whatever reason they play songs that it just turns you off from their show? I mean, as much as I loved Soundgarden, I saw them twice and I hated them live the two times that I saw them, because I felt that they kind of just focused in on just the slower, drudgy songs, and I wanted a little bit more life, a little bit more energy. And yes, I get that they played Jesus Christ Pose and that's very hard to play, but at the same time, I don't know, there's a bunch of other songs that I would have rather heard with them or hear from them. Excuse me. Johan, any bands that you've seen that, they play a song that you kind of don't care for and wish that they would swap it out for something else?
Yeah, every time we go to a concert. It's hard to. I mean, when like this year, when I saw Maiden, they have a big treasure of songs, but I don't know if they played it, but kind of like when they play Can I Play With Madness or that kind of songs, I don't like. I like the deep cuts nowadays, so I'm picky about my songs, but I can live with it. But I don't like the songs that if I go to see Ozzy, I wouldn't like to see Crazy Train. If you know what I mean. So
right.
yeah,
You want to hear something different. You want
yeah.
to see something.
I'm a little bit picky nowadays, but
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Brad, how about you? Any show that you've seen that kind of stood out because a band played a song that you didn't really care for?
Yeah, it's funny because Johan is becoming more picky. I'm becoming less picky as I get older. So we're kind of crossing over here. Yeah, and he mentioned Iron Maiden. The last time I saw them, Senjutsu, that's what they opened up with, and then I like the song, but for an opening song, I mean, it went on for like 8 minutes of just dum dum, dum, and I was like, come on, you got to open with something that's going to go. So I know exactly what Jeremy's talking about. Uh, you don't want to see Black Sabbath open with Black Sabbath. It, you know, yeah, you gotta open with a big song. It was a Judas Priest, and I can't remember which tour it was where they started off with a kind of slow song, and I thought, God, this is just a weird opening song. I don't know why they're doing this.
Well, Heaven and Hell would open up with After All the Dead. And I remember people kind of complaining about that, saying, why didn't they start out with Mob Rules or something like that?
Yeah, that would have made a lot more sense. I don't know. I feel like the opening song is maybe your most important song. You kind of want to grab things and you want to go and you want to get the band all pumped up and you want to get the place just rocking.
Right.
So yeah, but your overall question about bands playing songs you don't care for, I'll have to stew on that. That'd be a good topic for another show.
Okay. Dan, how about you?
The Maiden thing that I did was in 22, and I didn't see them in 23, but I have tickets for them in 24. And yeah, them opening with Senjutsu, it was a slow burn, but I have to give them credit. But then I've been seeing Maiden every tour, and that I enjoyed the set list. Or not the set list, the set, the backdrop and all that, and the lights and the way they do it. So even though the song kind of sucks, opening, I dig what's happening behind the scenes and watching the stage, so it makes up for it. Um, I don't know what else to say on that.
All right.
All I know is I was looking at my watch going, how long is this song? It's like, it just doesn't go anywhere. It just doesn't, it's just the same thing all the way through. There's no, I'm okay with a song that starts off kind of slow and then picks up or whatever, but that song just, yeah, no.
Yeah, it was a slow one.
It was like minutes
but
plus long.
Yeah.
Blame the producer.
And then, but I would have to say I didn't go to Power Trip, but you look at the set list by AC/DC, and I don't remember what the opener is off the top of my head right now. I looked at the set list, and the set list was like perfect. And I think they opened it and they just killed it right away. So for those people that got to attend, good on you.
Let's see. They opened up with
While you're looking, Maiden did the mistake of doing Power Trip and doing the exact same tour set that I know that they're going to do here next year in the United States and Canada. So for those people that thought that was their only shot, well, they're wrong. And yeah, they sat through a shitty show. Maiden should have switched it up for that special occasion and did a best of like Priest did. But Maiden was on tour. Metallica switched it up, but they didn't feel the need to. Much like GNR, always still on tour. So look at that set list. You got it up?
Yep.
Yeah,
so they started out with If You Want Blood, You've Got It.
God damn.
Back in Black, Demon Fire, Shot Down in Flames, Thunderstruck, Have a Drink on Me, Hell's Bells.
It's incredible.
Shot in the Dark, Stiff Upper Lip, Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap, Shoot the Thrill, Sin City, Giving the Dog a Bone, Rock and Roll Train, You Shook Me All Night Long, Dog Eat Dog, High Voltage, Hell Ain't a Bad Place to Be, Riff Raff, which says First Time with Brian Live, Highway to Hell, Whole Lot of Rosie, Let There Be Rock, including Angus's guitar solo, TNT, and For Those About to Rock.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah, and it's funny because next to Dog Eat Dog, it says first time with Brian since 2009. Oh, now I get it. See, I'm being a sloth here. So I guess they played it with Axl Rose.
Yeah.
So, all right, Johan, you mentioned or actually, I'm sorry, Mike, I skipped over you. Mike,
It's all right.
any band
Yeah.
that you've seen live where they play something that you kind of didn't care for?
The one that stands out from a while back was Alice in Chains. They did, came out full electric, really punched you in the mouth. And then about 4 songs in, they dropped a bunch of pillows on stage, sat down, and went into an acoustic set. And it just completely killed the vibe. They did, kind of an unplugged mid concert, and then went back to electric. And I'm like, I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to the bathroom now because like this is just an absolute buzzkill. So that's kind of the one that really stands out for me.
And that was with Lane or with William?
That was with Lane. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I get that the unplugged was kind of the thing at the time, but
Right. Yeah. Just absolutely killed the show.
yeah, I mean, I don't know what venue they play.
This was, gosh, I was still in Colorado at the time, so that was probably been McNichols Arena.
Okay.
So the basketball arena.
But yeah, I mean that's kind of a head scratcher because do like a separate unplugged tour. I would think
Yeah,
play
absolutely.
a much more intimate thing. You could play a smaller venue, charge a lot for it, and and then
Yeah.
in the big arena, bring on the full electric show.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they tried to get that intimate feel by throwing a bunch of, like I said, a bunch of pillows on the ground and sitting down and having a hookah pipe or whatever in the corner.
Right.
But yeah, did not work.
Johan, you mentioned Enforcer before, but you've seen other things, other shows this year.
Yep.
What other shows did you get to check out that stood out to you?
Oh, that stood out. At Sweden Rock, there were a couple of bands that stood out. But if we skip to the final, I must say that the best band that I saw this year were Arch Enemy.
Okay.
We saw them in Huskvarna, a town 100 kilometers north from my place. Arch Enemy is a band that I really like, but I have a problem with the vocals, but I really like them. And we were there, and with my son and a couple of friends, our Soilwork were opening, and Danish old school death metal band Beast as well were opening. The two opening bands were great, and then Arch Enemy came on, and I stood with a friend a bit back, and when Arch Enemy started to play, I felt that, wow, I can't stay back here as an old guy, so I went forward. I went into the pit with the kids. It was quite calm. It was good, but quite calm. And I had a thought that, it was kids, and they were not regular metal kids. It was, to say, normal. You know what I say?
Right.
Normal, yeah. And whenever the new songs came on, they were on fire.
Huh.
Old songs they never heard.
Wow.
So yeah, so it was that was a thing to see. I think that Arch Enemy is onto something. That if they can make kind of teenagers to love their music, uh, and not just metal kids. That was special to see, and I think that's something for us to say. I mean, to our music is that's a good thing. Do you know? Did you understand what I meant about
Yeah,
this?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. They're doing something that's hooking younger kids onto their newer music,
Yeah,
even
yeah,
if
and just not metal kids.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's great. I mean, we've talked about a lot of times how anyone that's doing something to keep the newer generation inspired and into their music is doing a great job. So that's awesome. Um, Anything else from Sweden Rock that stands out to you?
Yeah, I must say, Behemoth, the Polish band. I have never really listened to them, and this was the first time to see them. Uh, they were really, really great. Very atmospheric, great show, uh, majestic. The stage were really, built up. Uh, I was really impressed. They were really good. And of course, Ghost were they were finishing the Sweden Rock Festival, and they were, I mean, of course, great. It was like you know uh, homecoming. It was fantastic. But the biggest surprise to me at Sweden Rock were Behemoth and Pantera. I
Okay.
didn't I didn't expect much from Pantera, but they were fantastic. Wow! And I would go. I would like to see them again in that lineup.
Fantastic because of anything in specific? Was it better because it was better than what you expected? Was it because of
Mhm.
the two new guys in the band? What exactly stood out to you?
Yeah, I have seen Pantera uh, in their older days at the Cowboys from Hell tour and Vulgate Display of Tower, Vulgate Display of Power tour, and the tour following that. So I seen them a couple of times before, but they were. But I also have seen Phil Anselmo solo,
Mhm.
so I wasn't expecting much from him, but uh, it felt fresh, and Zach played really well, and of course the rhythm section was fantastic, and the audience was very into it. So, it was. Oh, they they were they were really great. Um, one of the best performances at Sweden Rock this year. Very professional, and I think Phil Anselmo was sober, and he was really there.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm wondering how much was that them wanting something to prove as well. You know, Phil showing that he could still do it if that was, because there was so much being talked about people not wanting to see the band because it doesn't have the brothers because of, all these different things. So, I haven't heard one person complain about it, and
Hmm.
that's a rarity.
Hmm. Okay.
So,
Yeah,
uh
it makes sense that they've got a shot here to come back and do this again.
mhm.
They should appreciate what they got going, keep the drugs and alcohol away, especially since Zach is, sober as well too, and focus on what you're doing and be a professional. Sounds like it's working.
Mm.
We'll see. I know that people were kind of freaked out when they mentioned they were going to have a big announcement. Some people thought it was going to be new album, and people were already ready to to freak out. But it ended up just being tour dates. So we'll
Yeah,
see.
here in the,
We'll see if we ever cross that bridge. What happens? Go ahead, Johan.
Yeah. One last thing about Sweden Rock is that the Tunisian band Mirath,
Mm-hmm.
they were again fantastic live. So if you guys ever get to see them, if they get close to your city, go and see them. That's it's an injection of happiness.
Cool. Yeah, when I got to interview the lead singer, he talked about what a big deal it was for them to play Sweden Rock. So it seems as if they continue to not disappoint. So, Brad, any other shows of note that you got to see this year?
Well, of course, I went to M3 as we've
Right.
done for the last, I don't know what, 5 years that I've had it. And I got to say that I think overall, and last week when you guys talked about the bands that are signed up to play festivals for next year and how it kind of seems like, wow, there's not really a lot there that I'm that interested in. Well, M3 kind of feels that way to me every year before I go. And I usually just find out that I just had a blast and all that. And we had a good time, but I felt like, they shortened it to 2 days. And yeah, the bands just weren't incredible. You know what I mean? I mean, for the first day, the band that did the best on that day, and this is more about them than the other bands, was Quiet Riot. I mean, I fully expected them to not be that great. I've never heard them with Jizzy Pearl singing, and he was great. I mean, like really, he sang those songs really well, and plus, he was just a great front man. They were all having fun, which to me is huge. And they played the songs incredibly well. And holy crap, Rudy Sarzo, who's, I don't know, how old is he now? 70 something.
Right.
That dude was tearing it up. I mean, there's playing the bass like a monster, and a lot of energy. And anyway, so there you go. Quiet Riot was fantastic. Styx was the headliner that first night. And they were really good, but it was just kind of a little weird. Yeah, I mean, Shelley kept saying that JY looked to her like Peter Boyle when he played Frankenstein and young Frankenstein.
Right.
And there were just some weird stuff going on there. And I'm not a huge Styx fan anyway, but I can't say anything bad about their playing. It was very, very, very good. It just didn't excite me. Let's put it that way. The next day it was all about Kicks.
Okay.
Mostly because they announced that they were retiring, and that was a big deal. And I was glad to see that they did their last show there at the Meriwether Post Pavilion. That's where M3 is, and they packed the place. I mean, probably like 20,000 people.
Right.
Kids, that was it, and the people showed up for that. And the clips I saw of it were just fantastic. I mean, they did a really pro stage setup and really nice production and everything. And so good on them, man, for going out in a good way. So that was good. So, but yeah, the other bands were just kind of, they were just okay. I mean, yeah, that second day when Firehouse turned out being like the best band, I was like, wow, that's really messed up. And Firehouse is the best band of the day, and of course Kicks came on and did a great job. But yeah, and I'd seen Firehouse a lot of times, and I just kind of a snooze for me. But I got to say, they actually were really good. It was the best I've seen them was at that last M3, and I got to give a lot of credit to the drummer because he was just on fire that day, and that helped a lot. Helped really push the band forward. So there you go. Yeah, M3. I'll be there this year. We'll go buy our tickets when they go on sale. Who knows who's going to be there? And it's a fun festival. So anybody want to just go rock out and have fun, you should join us. We'll save you seats.
Will Riley's LA Guns continue without Stephen Riley?
Oh, that's a great question. And they were at the festival because they're the guy who runs the thing, Eric Bell. I guess he's their manager,
Right.
so he's going to plug them in every time he can. But yeah, you're right. I don't know what's going to happen to that band. They got an album coming out, right? I mean,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. Absolutely. Coming out early next year, supposedly.
And they were just, I think, kind of, I've seen them before, and they were just kind of average at this show. Steven looked awful. I mean, they had to help him on stage, get him on his drum stool, and he had to have guys help him off of his drum stool. So poor guy, he was really just struggling. So, and that might have been why they were just kind of okay for this show. Because, drummer, most important guy in the band.
Who knew?
Yeah, who knew?
Who knew?
Yeah, the most important guy in the band isn't even a musician.
and that's coming from a bass player.
I concur.
Who's
I concur.
who's lucky to be part of the rhythm section thanks to the drummer. Anyway,
there you go.
Over to the other resident bass player, Metal Dan. Any other shows that you got to see outside of Maiden and Gates of Hell this year?
Yeah, I saw Y&T and they decided kind of dialed it in for me in a local small club. But what still sticks out, I think it was in 22, and it kind of ties into what I'm going to go to next. But seeing Airborne is a highlight of the decade. The sound was so loud that my ears hurt afterwards, and everything was numb walking out. I haven't had, and I had earplugs in, but my ears were screaming for over a day, and that's not normal. And I've been to many shows, but the Airborne show was definitely, probably because the volume was so loud and just the attitude and the fun. But opening up for that band was Native Howl, who some people like them and some people hate them. They were featured on a television show, and they're banjo thrash. But the thing about them is, so my wife really liked what was happening that night. She was interacting with the musicians. They were working with her, so she got a good feel from Native Howl. So they're going to be in our area next month. They're opening up for Zach Sabbath. So she told me, hey, Native Howl's going to be in the area. Let's go. So I'm being dragged in now to something that she wants to go do. I'm okay with the band. She's not a Zach Sabbath fan, but they're playing at a local small club here in Southern California. So we'll see what happens with that.
Cool. Awesome. Mike, some other standouts from the 8 shows you got to see?
I'd say, speaking of Meriwether Post, I took a little road trip down there and got to see The Cure play. Probably one of the best sounding live shows I've ever experienced in my entire life. They, for considering their age and how long they've been at it, Robert Smith's voice was on point for the whole night. They played almost 3 hours straight, just nonstop, hit after hit, song after song, like any and every song that you could possibly want. Crowd was spectacular. Like the people watching at a Cure show is, an experience in itself. The generation gap was just astounding to me. There were people from, mid 70s all the way down to, 8, 9, 10-year-olds there. And every one of them was in, just sitting there enthralled in the music. That was pretty amazing. Opening band there that day was the Twilight Sad, kind of an alternative band from Scotland. And they were pretty decent too. Like that, I'd not heard them before, but hearing them live was enough to turn me on to them a bit, and go and check them out and kind of throw them into my my regular mix of songs. So if you're into the harder edged kind of new wave-ish music, definitely a band worth checking out.
Okay. And you saw them in Maryland because they weren't playing anywhere else, or you wanted to see them at that just because of the venue?
Yeah, so they played in New York and Philly, but that was one of those midweek things. And I've got a friend who's a huge Cure fan, and conflicts with kids and everything. It ended up that the show in Maryland was on a Saturday, so we just took a little road trip down there, spent the night, and came back up in the morning. It was awesome. So definitely have the M3 festival penciled in for next year, because it's a pretty easy drive for me, just straight down 95, about 2.5 hours. So it's an easy one.
Johan, go ahead. What did you want to mention?
Yeah, just a question for Mike there. How big venue does the Cure play in USA?
Pretty sizable. Yeah, they're mostly kind of the sports arena size, so 15 to 20,000, and they end up selling them out.
Four nights in a row sold out the Hollywood Bowl, and it was
Wow.
sold out almost immediately. And every night, I didn't go. Every night the set list changed.
Wow.
So, yeah.
The Cure has always been big in America, Johan. Ever since I was a kid, I could remember, and I had this discussion with Ron Scalzo a few weeks ago, and we were talking about the importance of just different bands that have influenced hard rock and metal. And I mentioned to him that I felt that Depeche Mode and The Cure are the two biggest metal bands that aren't actually metal bands, because they've influenced so many bands within hard rock and metal, just from lyric and compositional standpoint, that I think they're just so huge. So I can remember as a kid, my brother going to see The Cure, and they were playing at a 25,000 seat arena, and they're still doing it today.
Absolutely. And if you look right here, there's
the
New York poster for this show.
Nice.
The ones drawn by Steve Hoker's friend.
Steve Hoker's friend, yes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And how
Robert Smith as Lady Liberty.
Great to hear. I have seen Cure a couple of times over the years. First time was in the mid 90s. Not my music to listen to at home, but at the festival, I have friends. I've grown up with The Cure, but I don't listen to it. But when I have the opportunity to see them at the festival, I go and see them, and I think they are amazing live. As you say, Mike, it's the sound is always perfect and very emotional to see them. Very emotional. Thank you.
Well, and how about them doing what I wish the bands I really liked would do, and that's putting on a real set. Not playing the same things over and over, the same thing they did last time out, kind of a deal. So, hey there. I got to give them huge credit for that, because there's so many bands say, well, let's talk about Iron Maiden. They're stuck with the same set. They're just going to play that set this tour, not going to mix it up at all. Come on, guys. Mix it up.
Yeah.
Everybody there's to see Iron Maiden, okay? I mean, it's not like you have to, we got to play this song, we got to play this song. It's like you guys could play all kinds of great stuff. You got a great.
And I've always said this for all the bands that say, well, we have cues for our lighting and our stage. Yeah, so does Metallica, and they have no problem. Not even more so on this tour, where they're playing two completely different set lists 2 days apart. So,
the only way I see that being a problem is if you're one of these bands that are playing the tracks, then obviously you're you're stuck with that. But there's Maiden should be able to play anything. They if somebody yelled something out from the audience, they should be able to be like, hey, let's do that.
Freebird.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of that, historically, so I saw Maiden on I believe it was the Seventh Son tour, and Twisted Sister was scheduled to open, and Dee Schneider broke his foot unloading the trucks, so they couldn't play. So Maiden just did an extra long set that night. They played about 3.5 hours, and absolutely, like, just whipped out songs from the back catalog that they said that they'd never played live, and they hadn't played in years. So they are absolutely capable of it. I don't know why they don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But like I said, I think a lot of the bands that we like, as fans, we want to see them do more than just the same old thing.
I think a lot of them are for being lazy because they only want to learn a certain amount of songs for that tour. They pass it off on, oh no, well, our stage and our lighting and blah blah blah. But I mean, most of the bands we're talking about. I mean, Kiss hasn't really changed their set list since the first farewell tour. Ozzy hasn't changed his set list since 1982. Not anything sizable. So I mean, you would get more people to flock out to the shows. I don't get the whole, oh no, we have to play the hits. Right. So exactly what hits does Kiss have beyond Beth, Rock and Roll All Night, and Detroit Rock City? Calling Dr. Love, maybe. But outside of that, what else gets played on the radio? Not a hell of a lot more. So I mean, you're really only playing what you want to play, not what. No, we have to play this because the casual fan. No, the casual fan is not shelling out thousands of dollars to see your last few shows. So, but I digress. Let's see. We have Edgar Winterson in the chat. Anyone on the panel get sad at Twilight?
The time of day or the movie? Which one are we talking about
Right,
here?
or the song. I mean, we can
Song.
look at it a few different ways.
All right. Yeah, expand on that, Edgar.
Yeah, let's see if he gets back to us here.
If he's talking about sundowning, I know exactly what he's talking about.
So go ahead, Dan.
I've been watching videos out there on festivals. There's a crew out of the UK that does this, and they cover it from their drinking to their camping to their bands they play or the bands they see and the whole thing. And they did the Coachella. And I've watched their videos of the Power Trip. I don't think they've done Sweden Rock yet, but everything so far that I've seen has something in common with time it takes to get in, the camping, whatever. So my question to Johan is: Sweden Rock just set up better than other festivals in of ease of use to get to, camping or hoteling or whatever? Why is Sweden Rock so great? Do you have an answer to that?
Yes, Sweden Rock is good because the festival doesn't own the camping. So I think it's a quite good. The owners of the campings or the outside the festival is private. So I think nah. I mean, I'm a festival veteran and I know this answer really well. It's because Sweden Rock is expensive
Okay.
if you compare to other festivals. And you pay for your campsite or your what do you call it? Cabbage? What is
Hoteling.
Yeah. So it's not it's good at Sweden Rock. You pay what you get for it. So
they deliver for the money. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, they do. And if you were to go there as an American, you would find it cheap, I guess. But you have to stay in a RV or a tent or a small house. But I guess the thing about Sweden Rock is that everybody who goes there are grown-ups. So it's
Good people.
It's good people. It's convenient. It's you don't have to worry about anything.
I got you.
So yeah, but yeah, compared to Wacken or other, German or
Download.
Belgian
Yeah.
or French festivals, it's a bit more convenient. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Well, a lot of the festivals here, and I will mention the ones that I've been to in Spain, where I have stayed in camping more than once. Mm, it really comes down to the organizers and whether the campgrounds are decent or whether it's a refugee camp. Because I've been to festivals where there's ample camping, it's under trees, so it's shady. So if there's a band on stage that you don't really care for, well, you head back to the tent, you hang out there, you drink a little, you eat a little, and then you head back for the band that you do want to see. But then there are other festivals where they don't care, and tents are 7/16 apart from the next tent. You can barely fit a pencil between two tents. There isn't enough bathrooms for everyone.
Yeah.
The bathrooms have piss spilling out of them.
Ooh.
The the showers could be used as a you throw a little green screen behind them and it could double as Apocalypse Now, where it looks like you're knee deep in a rice paddy instead of being in a shower. So I've seen some pretty bad situations at festivals. And then you have now like you had out at Power Trip, where you had glamping, where you had you could have a private tent that's there that you can rent for like $500, and they have air conditioning and they have a chef and and it's like, okay, well, this is like staying at a hotel,
Yeah.
but it's a lot of money. Yeah. I think by and far, the festivals in Europe for the most part are cheaper. Now, if you have to commute to them, like for example, for me to get to download, it's way too expensive and it's 2 days of travel because there's no direct connection. So you have to fly into London, and then from London, you can fly to Western England to get to, if I remember my geography correctly, to get to an airport that's relatively close to download. Your other alternative is train or bus, and you're traveling for a full day. So it's it's not easy. Johan, what were you going to say?
yeah. I was just thinking that uh, you know at Sweden Rock there are people from all over the world, but uh, when you meet Americans, I mean, they live like kings there. They think
Well,
it's
yeah.
cheap for them, and they have a good time
Well, that's completely it. I mean, let's be
because
honest.
perhaps of the beautiful women, and it's that's
Beverages, the
yeah,
shows,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
there's a lot of
Scandinavia, yeah.
yeah.
So you are very much welcome.
Let's be honest though. Sweden Rock, Vaken, Download, Hellfest. Those are the biggest festivals in Europe when it comes to hard rock and metal. You've got second tier like Bloodstock, which Jeremy goes to. You've got Resurrection here in Spain. You've got there's one in Germany. There's a few in Germany. There's Bang Your Head as well. In Italy, there's one big one. In Greece, there's a big one. There's another one in France.
I'd like to try Keep It True.
Keep It True is in Germany as well. Um, there's one in Finland that's relative. I mean, the ones that I mentioned at first are much bigger than everything else. I mean, Sweden Rock is one of the biggest ones. Um, Hellfest, who after COVID did 2 years of shows in 2 weekends. So it was there was like a day off between both festivals. They were 4 days straight, a day off, and then another 4 days. It was ridiculous. If you weren't included in that, it was because your band had broken up or just formed. I mean, everyone else was there basically. So, and that's the thing that a lot of people are coming over from the States where the price for a regular ticket at a stadium at an arena is the same as a 3-day festival. So for a lot of people, it isn't that expensive. Sure, you've got the flight, you've got the hotel and whatnot, but for a lot of these festivals in the U.S., if you're going to an aftershock, if you're going to something similar, louder than life or whatever it's called, you're traveling there, you're staying at a hotel, and you're paying a lot more to stay and to eat. So you by the time you fly over to Europe and you're at the show, it ends up being more economical. So yeah, we well, I know people that have put festivals together. I don't think that we could do a Signals from Mars festival because the backers, we don't have too many millionaire backers that would be willing to put up bands to move people, but I don't know, you can dream, right? But yeah, I've always asked bands this, and we'll wrap the show up with this. Johan, 3 bands you could throw together to make your own festival, alive or dead, doesn't matter. What 3 bands do you have on your festival bill?
Wow. First one, the best band I ever seen at the festival, Nirvana.
Okay.
And then I guess I were to say, not because of last year's performances, but Iron Maiden. Wow.
Okay.
And then Bruce Springsteen.
Okay.
I saw him at Roskilde Festival. I have seen him at stadiums and only at stadiums, of course, but Bruce Springsteen's band and Bruce at the festival were absolutely amazing at Roskilde. They were connecting with the people. So, yeah, that's my 3.
Okay. We have Edgar Winterson chiming in with Jimi Hendrix Experience, John Denver, and Shawadi Wadi. Not sure who the last is, but we'll take your word for it. Brad, how about you?
Wow. Okay, yeah, it's kind of tough because you don't want to think about the band now, but in the day, as far as the best concerts I've been to, Kiss, Blue Oyster Cult, and I kind of want to say Black Sabbath, but my brother will kill me. I'm going to throw Saxon in there just because every time I see Saxon, I just have a blast, man. I feel like a kid again going to a Saxon show. It's just that kind of fun and excitement. Even now, I mean, they're still just great.
Cool. Metal Dan.
Give me the Airborne. Give me the current version of Accept. And since they don't play often enough, Bisto Blanco.
Wow. Okay. Cool. Mike.
The Mike Jones Fest would be Dio era Sabbath, Pink Floyd, and Sabotage.
Wow. Check that out. That is awesome. I got to see, I've never seen Sabbath, but I have seen Dio on his last solo tour. He was great. Actually, my wife and I will still discuss whether we thought Kiss or Dio was better at that festival. And I will say, much to Jeremy's chagrin, we had no problem walking away from Europe and making sure that we had a good spot to see both Dio and Kiss for that festival. We also missed out on Blind Guardian for that festival, and after Kiss was done, Saxon came on at 3:45 in the morning. So anyway, so who would I have? How about, oh man. See, Johan, I'm surprised you didn't say Thin Lizzy or Rush, but I'm
I'm picking from bands I've seen.
Oh, you're picking from bands you've seen. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, see, if I just go from bands that I've seen.
So I know that if it was your kids, two of the bands they'd pick would be Weird Al and Limp Bizkit. So
yes,
not your children.
I got my youngest son to say, can I include the Limp Bizkit debut album for the debut album show? I said, yeah, you can include it.
No.
Doesn't count.
All right. If we go by bands that I've seen, then I would have to say, Kiss, Iron Maiden.
It's not that hard.
It's hard.
It is really hard. Yeah.
No, because all right. So see, my third band could easily be Sacred Reich, could easily be Ramones, could easily be Rancid.
Yes.
Because I got to see Rancid with the Dub All Stars band, so they had trombones and trumpets and an organ player up on stage, and it was a sick show. Machine Head, when I saw them the first time, were fucking ridiculous. It was the Blackening tour, so they were hot with that. I got to see Halford open up for Maiden, and that was really good. Got to see the classic Quiet Riot lineup, Blow, Warrant, Poison, and Enough's Enough off stage. Got to see Metallica when they cut their hair, and that was still a good show.
Misfits.
I've never seen Misfits.
Never.
No. See, I'm the doofus that had all these shows around me and took that for granted and didn't see bands because I figured I'll see them again. Got to see Twisted Sister when they got back together again after 9/11. That was ridiculous. I've gotten to see Overkill a few times. They've always been great. I mean, I could go and Edgar Winterson is fucking with us. Could easily be Christopher Cross. The solo on Run Like the Wind. Wow. Why didn't you say Jerry Rafferty and say the sax solo in Baker Street?
Yes. That was my daughter played sax in the school orchestra, and my goal was for her to play that sax solo for me, and she never got there. I'm so disappointed.
Oh man, that's great. Anyway, as usual, this has been fun. I've actually been told by a trained professional that this is therapeutic. So I concur. Talking about music with you guys is awesome. I want to thank Edgar for joining us. I want to thank John Ross. And before I forget, let me read off what Jeremy said real quickly here, because I don't want him to feel left out. He really wanted to be here and just couldn't in the end. So he mentions that he got to see Maiden with Lords of the Lost at Manchester Arena. Support band are great live, so much energy. Maiden was great as usual. Nico was very noticeable. His playing was very contained, but we later found out about his illness. Amazing how Adrian Smith does in comparison to Gers and Murray. Bruce's voice has lost very little. Some new songs came over quite well, especially Writing on the Wall, surprisingly. There were perhaps too many long ones with endless riffs and solos, but at least they covered something different. So there you go. That was Jeremy's thing there. And Lord of the Lost, another band that has gotten discussed a lot in Patreon. I think I counted 21 videos that I've posted so far on
Wow.
Patreon from them over the last 3 albums, and 4 because their covers album is now coming out shortly. So one thing to ponder: Maiden with these long solos. Are these done purposely so that Bruce can rest his voice more throughout the show?
Probably not.
Yeah.
No.
No.
He has
So
a whole solo tour coming up. I think his voice is not his concern.
Yeah.
Solo tour, you think he's playing more than 50 minutes?
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
All right. We'll see. 'Cause I don't think he's played more than an hour in a solo band.
Been a long time. I don't remember, but I'll take your word.
Yeah. I have to check it out.
The venues are European. I'm not familiar with the size to say what he's up against. But that's for another Friday. Another hour one.
You had to bring this up. So real quickly, let's check this out. Free tickets in tour 2024. Where's he playing?
If he comes to the U.S., I'll travel for that. I'd go see that.
Who?
Bruce Dickinson's doing a solo. He has a
he's
release
coming
of
to
a new
Sweden
album
Rock.
coming out. Yeah.
Yes,
Is he
yes.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Announce a solo tour. Okay, let's see. Consequence of Sound.
I wonder what place he'll go in if he plays Sweden Rock. Will he be at the start or the end of the day, or where?
He be.
He won't get headlining.
No, but
No.
But they have smaller stages in Sweden Rock,
of course.
Yeah.
so he
How-
can
how
headline a smaller stage.
How many stages do they have at Sweden Rock, Johan? Is it just the inside and the outside, or is there 3 or
It's
5, 20?
1, 2, 3, 4. 4 big stages. Wow.
Okay. So the only dates that I'm finding are in Mexico, Brazil. Yeah, Mexico and Brazil.
Oh.
And these are all let's see, theater, Pepsi on stage, which no, I guess that can be no. In Brazil, he's playing some big places, so I don't know if that's just him on his own or if he's part of another package. But we'll see. We'll see about a year from now when we are having the same discussion who got to see Bruce live and where he actually played. On that note, I want to thank Johan, Brad, Metal Dan, Mike Jones, and Jeremy, who's here with us in spirit. Thank you guys for being here. What was that, Brad?
Hey, a little production stuff, you know.
Wow, look at that. Thank you guys for checking this out, whether it's live or the replay, or if you're listening to the podcast version. Thank you so much. And we will catch you next week. Next week will be a pre-recorded interview. That's the plan, anyway. We'll catch you in 2 weeks live with our Maiden albums countdown. Until then, we will see you later. See ya. It'd be good if I would have the video ready to go here.
No.
Thank you for watching the Signals from Mars live stream. You can watch the show live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch, or check out replays on YouTube. Go to signalsfrommars.com for more information. This concludes our show.